Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.
Good afternoon and welcome to The Yarn. You are listening to Ashley Cronlin and we have Monique Tippett in the studio with us. Hello, Monique. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me here today.
I'm so excited that you could actually come into the studio because when we first chatted, we thought maybe we would just be having a chat on the phone from Dwelling Up, where, of course, your gorgeous studio is.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we love Dwelling Up, but it's good to get out as well sometimes. So happy to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. So
thank you for coming all the way.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
It's not that far.
So we first met Monique in around about 2010, which is a long time ago. I was up there at Dwelling Up Arts Lab at the time.
That's right.
And I had an exhibition and did one of the artist in residency programs there. And that's where we met. And I've been following your artwork ever since and just love it.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? But time moves very fast. So, yeah.
And now you've actually purchased the Dwelling Up Arts Lab and you've totally transformed that space into the most amazing art gallery and creative space.
Yeah.
Lost Eden
that's
Creatives.
been a journey, that's for sure. But we've called it Lost Eden Creative now. And yeah, we've totally renovated the space about 4 years ago. And now we have rotating exhibitions every month. So it's fast action, jam-packed, full of lots of different people coming through all the time. So it's really exciting for Dwelling Up.
Absolutely. And you just, I think it's your attention to detail that I love about the space. So everything is just beautiful.
Yeah. I think it's as well, it's the wood, because I love wood. And I think I've brought a lot of wood. It's very warm in there and we have a go at anything. So I hope that we're very inviting for people to come along.
Yeah, so we'd love to have a chat with you a bit more, maybe another time about the actual gallery, but we are here to talk with you as an artist and about your artwork today, which, as you say, you just love wood, and so you do quite sculptural works which sort of push the boundaries between painting and sculpture.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right, which I really enjoy.
Thanks. No, that's right. I suppose it's come about from my grandparents who, my grandfather was a carpenter. So I've always loved wood and it's just such a warm, tactile material. It's of the forest, especially around Dwelling Up, which is what drew me there. So I've been using wood for 25 years or 27 years actually.
That's a really long time.
It is. That's right.
And I have to say that wood is very warming. I'm really into feng shui myself, and I find that when I add different elements of the earth and when I put like something that is made of wood in an area, it definitely softens the feel of the
People
environment.
just want to touch it, you know, so it just definitely has a life of its own.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's a beautiful material.
I'm going to have to get down to your studio.
Oh, definitely.
And check it
Everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen your new studio. I have only visited the old place that you were in, which was in Dwelling Up as well, which was absolutely gorgeous too. But you now have a really beautiful property with a dam overlooking the forest.
Yep, that's right. I'm right in the thick of it. So we've got 20 acres in Dwelling Up, and I've got a great studio, 250 square metre studio. So that's pretty good. And luckily over the years I have, got a great workshop space as well. So we do have lots of other artists coming. I love to share. So we always have artists, young artists as well, coming through. I'm teaching them as well how to use the woodworking machines, and we also have artists in residence that come and stay at the studio as well.
That's awesome. So you say it started with your grandfather, and your love of wood. And so how did you actually start it as an artist? Like, have you been an artist all your life, or, you know, where did your journey begin?
Yeah, well, like most artists, I think we've all been artists since the moment we were born. And children are just artists, aren't they? They were just born artists. So especially the days before computers and whatnot, the mums and dads used to give us paper and pencil to, you know, occupy ourselves with. So that's sort of where it started. And it just seemed like that was one of the things that I was best at school. So I just felt really good that, you know, I would get good marks for my art, and that just gave me some confidence. I think not being so great at maths and things like that, definitely, art was definitely the way I was going.
Awesome. And so what took you from that initial love of art and just picking up the pencil to actually the point where you became a professional artist and started to call yourself a professional artist and actually make a living from your artwork?
Well, I suppose it was a progression through my late teens. I was starting to sort of knock things up together. Then when I was about 21, I went to America, and I was a camp counsellor, and I looked after the arts department. But in that place, that is where I found the pyrography tool. So we were up in Wisconsin, and there was lots of reservations, and we were in the woods, and the pyrography was a big thing there. So I first picked up pyrography tool around 21.
So for people who don't know what that is,
I was just
well, it's a burner. It's a wood burner. So it's basically a transformer with a heated nib on the end, and you can draw and mark the wood with that. Wood. Yeah. So I started creating patterns and things like that on wood. Yeah. And when I came back from that experience over in America, I enrolled at the School of Wood, which is in Dwelling Up, which is what brought me there. That was in 2000. So I could actually learn how to make things out of wood and be comfortable with tools and machines and things like that. So that's where it started.
That's huge, isn't it? So have you had any challenges as a woman over the years playing with machinery, and or have you found it a very inclusive environment?
No, I think I found it inclusive. There's definitely, people that think maybe girls can't do this type of thing, but you never listen to those doubters. It makes you stronger. So, but the course that I did at the School of Wood was over 2 years. It was pretty much half and half females, half males. There was a small group of people, so it was probably about 12 of us. It was very inclusive.
That's awesome. So for any girls listening out there, if you do want to do woodwork and machining, of course, have a look at Monique's artwork. It is absolutely beautiful. So you will find her on Instagram and Facebook, Monique Tippett Artist, and have a look at her work, because of course you're listening, so you can't look. So while you're having a listen, it would be great to actually have a look at what we're talking about. So Monique, how has your work evolved over the years? I remember some of your early pieces, which were, and I might be wrong, but I remember one really beautiful piece, which was a portrait, and then it had some of that pyrography and wood burning and patterning in the background. So how has your work evolved?
I had to stop using the pyrography tool after a while, because it just it's a lot of strain on my neck. And then being in the School of Wood, learning how to make furniture, I sort of started doing more three-dimensional sort of work. So I suppose when I started, I was a bit more, I just had to keep on doing more and more and more to some of my pieces. So they were quite complicated and intricate. But as I've sort of progressed as an artist, I see that less is more sometimes. So I'm always trying to do less is more, and my work's become a lot more sort of minimalist and abstract, I think, over the years.
It's a lesson that less is more, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hard. I found it, I'm always trying to do that bit too much, and sometimes you just go that little bit too far, and then you can't go
perfect.
back.
So I'm imagining.
Yes, that's right.
Your attention to detail is
so knowing when to stop.
Yeah,
knowing when to stop is good.
It's very freeing though as well, isn't it? peeling back.
Yeah,
I would imagine
it is.
Yeah.
That's right. So, I used to do a lot of the carving as well, like the embellishments and dremeling and things. That also I had to stop that too because it was causing problems with my neck. So it's good to sometimes these things force you to go in different directions, and I've embraced those moments when my body's telling me I have to stop doing something and let's try something else. So
I was just about to agree with that. Like, I really believe that our bodies speak to us.
Yes.
And sometimes when we don't want to listen, the bodies
right.
jumps out loud and clear and gives us messages that, you know, maybe we should try something a little bit different
Yes.
to put us on a path of where we might need to go.
Woodwork
It's
is
more
quite
healthy.
physical, isn't it, too? So
Yeah,
I'm always carting large pieces of wood, and I'm in the studio on my own, so yeah, sometimes it can get a little bit difficult.
So can I ask something like about the process? You're saying carting big pieces of wood. Like, do you, in your process, do you find wood from outside and then work from there, or how do you go about obtaining the pieces that you work on?
Well, I was lucky enough when we first moved to Dwelling Up 20 odd years ago that there was a farmer who there was a big storm and 2 trees came down on his farm in the middle of a paddock. They were big, beautiful paddock trees. One was a black butt and the other one was a jarrah. And he sort of said, if you can remove these trees, you can have them. So we had a portable mill. One of the guys in town had a portable mill, and we slabbed up all the timber. Some of them are made into veneers as well, so I cut that very thin. And we strip stacked that correctly, and over the years I use a lot of that. And so basically I've still got a lifetime of wood from these 2 trees.
Wow.
So 2 trees have actually given me a
so
career.
Much.
That's how I see those 2 trees. They're very special. So yeah, and I'll probably keep going with that material for a few more years. Definitely.
That's fabulous. So you're obviously very connected to the environment, and I do know how important Dwelling Up is to you as a place. And did you want to just say a little bit about the importance of the environment to your actual art practice?
Yeah, over the years it's definitely, like when we first moved to Dwelling Up, it was just such a magical place. The kids were small. We spent a lot of time out at the river. I absolutely fell in love with Dwelling Up. Like, you don't want to leave it. And every time you come home, you get goosebumps that this is where I live, under these beautiful trees. But over the last decade, I've seen what's going on behind the veil of trees, and that is complete destruction from bauxite mining. So it's just, rip everything out. And so it's very distressing. And it seems that the more and more that this is becoming a focus of my work is trying to bring light to what's happening, not just the beauty of the forest, because a lot of my work sort of contemplative, sort of just energy of the forest. I use like pinks and blues, and but lately, I do use burning quite a lot, and a lot of those things are signifying what's going on in the forest, which
fantastic.
is
So you've still got that element of contemplation and beauty, but you're also contrasting that with what is actually happening
and a
to
message.
the environment.
Yes, I'm hoping through my work there is a message that I can talk to people about.
And if you were to sum that message up in, say, a sentence, what?
Just please stop bulldozing the forest down. And just look at the consequences of that for our future generations. So,
well, when we get back, we'll have a bit more of a chat about some of the more recent exhibitions that you've done, and we'll talk more about that artwork and those messages.
Okay.
So let's have a listen to Treaty.
Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Yarn with Ashley Caron-Lynn, and of course Monique Tippett is in the studio with us, and we're talking all things art and wood and the environment. Monique, you are very connected to the environment like we were just talking about, and woodwork has been something that you've obviously grown up with if your grandfather was a carpenter. And so did you want to, let's just talk a little bit about some of those early successes that have led you to the point where today your upcoming exhibition is entitled Burnt. It is going to be at the Holmes Court Gallery in Vas Felix in Margaret River, and it is on until January, and it is currently up there. So, let's just have a chat. How did you go from being someone who started out to having the opportunity to be represented at galleries and such as Holmes Court, and also some of the amazing public art commissions that you've had along the way?
Yeah, thanks. I think it's believing in yourself is the number one thing that you must all do. So I knew that I had the skills, and then just putting them into practice, being in my studio, experimenting, just having faith in myself and going for things. So in the early days, once I finished my course at the School of Wood, I was given an opportunity to do the boardroom table at the Mandurah Performing Arts Centre. That was a major commission at that point, but I was very scared. I think it was about $10,000 commission, so I was pretty scared about that. But you have to overcome these things and just go for it. So that's what I've sort of done throughout my career since then. If I see an opportunity, I just try and grab it with both hands and then worry about it later.
And then work out how you're going to do it.
Exactly.
So that is such a great philosophy, and I'm sure that artists who are, wanting to progress will have loads of questions on their lips about, how you actually have been successful with getting some of the artists in residencies that you've done, and also the public art commissions.
Yeah, like I said, I started looking at what was coming up. There was a few things. One of the first ones I did was for some hospitals, just small wall sculptures, and that led on to me starting to grow a portfolio together that eventually some of the larger works and larger public art commissions I won. So, for instance, the first large scale public art commission I did was for the city of Augusta and Margaret River. I did a large outdoor sculpture out of timber for there, and also a large wall piece for the inside the city council. And so that one then led on to the next commission, which was the large piece I did, a double story. It was 10 metres by 7.5 metres.
That's huge.
It was huge for the Premier's office. So that was when Colin Barnett had his Premier's Palace, as they called it. And I was commissioned as a part of the Percent for Art to do that.
It's a huge honour, Monique.
Oh, it was. I couldn't believe it at the time. And I worked with another couple of ladies, and the three of us, I think took us about 6 months or more to...
I was going to ask, how long does it take to do a piece of art that's big?
And that was great. It was out of recycled Wandoo from Perry Lake Stadium. Okay. So even the material had a big backstory. It was all full of chewing gum and all sorts of stuff. So every single piece we loved and cared for, and then put it together to make a big artwork for
it's a real journey, isn't it?
Yeah. And then from that, other things lead on. So I also did a large sculpture for the new children's hospital. That one is about 12 metres long and about 7.5 metres high. It's the two intertwining trees.
Okay.
And that one, when I received the go-ahead that I won that commission, there was a lot of tears, I must admit, because I thought, how am I going to do this? But
tears of overwhelm or tears of joy? Yeah.
It was a combination. Definitely. But yes, how am I going to do this? But you just put one foot in front of the other
Yeah.
You keep the quality really high in what you're doing.
Be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself, and get in help. So I wasn't alone in that one. There was another artist called Pavel Perina.
Yeah.
Good friends. We both went to the School of Wood together, and we managed to create that artwork. So
fabulous.
I think you've really pinpointed one of the things that is so obvious in your work, and that is your attention to detail, your precision, and the quality of the artwork that you do. So how important is that in your work?
Oh, definitely. I think that came from the mentors that we received, the mentorships we received while I was at the School of Wood. So the back is just as important as the front. So when you're making a piece of furniture, that's definitely something that was instilled with us. And over that time, we did have a lot of mentors from all over the world actually coming to Dwelling Up to speak to us, and seeing other people leading by example of the quality of work and what you need to do to get to the top, of that field is definitely what you should do. No, don't cut corners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really made me think about Dwelling Up in a whole new light. I've got a friend that lives out there, and it's been beautiful to visit. And I always think of Dwelling Up as this sort of little town, but it's fantastic that you had the opportunity of having really brilliant mentors, come out and guide you on your path.
Yep.
So
yep.
That
Dwelling
makes me
Up
think
is such a treasure trove. It's such a little centre. It's a very special little place, and you get quite a lot of tourist traffic through there because of the Bibleman Track, of course, and you've got places like the Forest Centre and your beautiful gallery there, and there's some lovely cafes. So huge shout out to all the businesses in Dwelling Up. It's definitely a place well worth a visit.
100%.
And
I was just going to ask Monique a question, and now it's kind of slightly gone.
It's okay.
Mentoring. Have you given I'm having a quick look at your CV before, and you have got so many successes and such a world of experience. Have you ever considered mentoring other people?
I do.
Yeah,
you do. As much as if someone reaches out to me, they like I said, I'm very open. I'm not afraid to share what I can do as well. Like some artists, they don't want other people to know how they do things.
Okay, it's protected.
Yeah, but over the years, we've definitely had quite a few young people come along, and like last year there was 18 artists in residence at the gallery at Lost Eden, and a lot of them have become friends. They've hung around in Dwelling Up, and they're welcome to come into my studio at any time, and I can help them if they would like help. So
it's
really
nice
great
to know that your legacy is not just on by word, but is spread out there. No, that's wonderful.
That's what
you're able to do.
Yeah, that's what I definitely hope for.
So let's have a quick chat about the My Darling exhibitions that you've had over the past few years. And of course, you've got Burnt at the moment, but you've done My Darling Forest Souls, and that was actually at Bunbury Regional Art Gallery. And that came as a result of having actually won an award. Did you want to say a bit about Horizons?
So I think it started, I won, I was given the opportunity to be the artist in residence of Parliament House. So that's a huge honour, and part of that was a commission to make something for Parliament House. So I made a large artwork which I called Golden State for the foyer there at Parliament House, and when that commission was complete, I was given the opportunity to, as a part of that residency, to put on a solo show at Edith Cowan University.
Wonderful.
So that was my first My Darling exhibition, which was just called My Darling. From there, I was invited by Janet Holmes-Court to do another exhibition, which I decided I wanted to keep with the theme My Darling. So My Darling obviously is in reference to the Darling Ranges. My Darling is my muse. The scarp on where I live is is my darling. So I use that word a lot for all sorts of people. Everybody's my darling. So, so it fitted really perfectly. And the next one I did at Janet Holmes Court's beautiful big space in West Perth was called My Darling Orisons, and that's a prayer. Orison is a prayer. So it's my prayer.
How you spell?
Orisions.
Ision.
Yeah, Orisons.
Okay.
So that was a big, seeing as I only had 6 months between solos, it was a massive task actually to fill West Perth exhibition space there in Douglas Street. So I also at that time, I should mention, why I was able to do all these exhibitions was because I received a grant from Regional Arts Council, Regional Arts WA, and that was a fellowship I received, so over 2 years. So I basically received it was $50,000. So
wonderful.
That's a huge injection for any artist to receive over 2 years. So I was able to plan that exhibition as well as the next one, which was My Darling Forest Souls at Bragg, Bunbury Regional Art Gallery. That one was also linked in with some of the collection of Howard Taylor's work from Agua. So that was a huge honour, absolutely huge honour, because he definitely is one of my most favourite artists. I feel like I've got a lot in common with him being in Northcliffe, me being in Dwelling Up, sort of surrounded by the forest. The aesthetics are very similar. So that was a huge honour. And then we went back to Dwelling Up, had My Darling Forest 14, which is the forest that we live in there, Forest 14. Yeah, and then now we come to the next one, which is Burnt. So it's been full on the last few years, solos and looking after the Lost
Absolutely,
Eden.
because My Darling Forest Souls was just earlier this year, and now you've got Burnt happening.
Yes.
So, which is huge, 2 solo exhibitions of work within essentially a year.
Yeah.
So, and also Orison was 2021. So
yeah, that was mid 2021. So it's just been every
back
6 months.
To back, yeah.
Yeah. And thankfully I received the fellowship, because that did enable me to get help. So there was several days a week where I would be, a lot of those young artists that I was talking about would come in, and I would be able to pay them to help me, and they were learning at the same time. So it was a win-win situation. Yeah.
I love the play on words with My Darling.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
The relationship to the scarp and the environment, and obviously My Darling, the treasure that you hold.
That's it.
And also something that you have said about your own work is what you see is pure feeling. So did you want to expand on that just a little?
Yeah. Well, all I need to do is go out into the forest for inspiration, because a lot of people say, where do you get your inspiration from? And it's obvious. It's obvious that it's from the forest. It's obvious I'm using materials from the forest, because I collect ash from the forest. I collect balga resins and charcoals and all sorts of things out there while I'm having a walk around. And it's just that's all I need to do is just go for a walk out there and come
Absolutely.
back, sketch some things out, and off I go.
It's a very beautiful spiritual place, Dwelling Up.
Yeah.
So like you say, all you need to do is step out
and
the
door.
door.
The seasons, I really go by the seasons. So in winter time, I grab the blowtorch out a lot. I do get stuck into blowtorching bits of wood, which I can't obviously do in summer. And then in summer, it seems like I do use a lot of golds and things like that. So my work is definitely seasonal with the colours I use.
Sounds like you're very, very in tune with both yourself and, like Ashley said, the environment. Yeah.
I feel like we could all be more in tune, though. Like the last few years when I've been so busy, it has been hard for me to keep in tune.
Yeah. It's been a very challenging years.
Yeah, definitely.
Couple of years.
So like I haven't gone out to as many walks and things as I'd like to. But now that I've just finished this last exhibition at Vas Felix, I'm sort of like going to regroup now and then and get some inspiration behind me.
Because that was one of my questions with all these amazing things that you've done. How do you balance it all? That's always my question.
It can be all consuming.
Mind boggles me.
It's all so there's a fine line, like when we're talking about mental health and things like that.
Yeah.
I have had a huge amount of stress.
Yeah. I would. Yeah. Had some pretty high profile things that you've done.
It's not just that; it's the amount of the work actually that the setting up a gallery, because that's only been 4 years old, and the amount of artists having to juggle admin. You know, I'm not an administrator.
Person. Yeah.
I'm an artist. I get down and dirty in the workshop.
Yeah.
So things like that have definitely been huge challenges.
Absolutely. I can't begin to imagine how you have made both happen. It just is
my husband,
incredible.
Peter, yes. We're a team, so he's very hands-on with that side of things too, so it's excellent.
Big shout out to Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were talking to your younger self, Monique, and giving yourself some advice, what would you sort of say retrospectively, knowing what you know now, to that younger person?
Be kind to yourself, I think. And even though I've done all these things, I still have this deep down imposter syndrome, like a lot of artists do, I think. Yeah, you're always striving to be, the best you can be. But sometimes you can place unrealistic expectations on yourself. So I think I've been pushing myself very, very hard these last few years, and so I probably wouldn't have done so many exhibitions, to tell you the truth.
And it's time to breathe.
Yes, time to breathe.
Take time for you. Yeah. So important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, to recharge the batteries.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll be having a bit more of a chat with Monique, so stay with us, and we're going to have a listen to Total Control by Missy Higgins.
Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Yarn with Ashley, Caron Lynn, and of course Monique Tippett. So Monique, before we have you leave the studio, it's so important to have a chat about your current exhibition, Burnt, which is on at Vas Felix in the Holmes of Court Gallery. Did you want to say a little bit about the inspiration behind that exhibition?
Yeah. So, it's a massive thrill again to show down at Vas. It's a beautiful space. There's lots of, the whole region, isn't it? It's very inspiring. So I'm very happy to be there. This time with Burnt, I purposefully only did small work. So it's all really quite small work. So that's why I thought I'd give myself the last 6 months to sort of give myself a little bit of a rest. So I thought I was going to be giving myself a rest by doing small stuff, because most of my stuff is quite large. Yeah. But I've ended up making about 45 small works instead of about 13 large works.
Wow.
So
you don't do things in halves, do you?
No. And so it was quite a challenge actually, because small work sometimes is harder to get impact and whatnot from small. So it was a challenge, definitely. But it also carries on, I suppose, from what I've been doing with my darling. So there's little maquettes and things like that maybe I can use in the future for larger works. So it's been really good fun.
Awesome. Now, we've touched on the fact that you need to take some time out, having had such a flurry of solo exhibitions. So what are you planning next?
Well, I'm super excited. I'm planning on going on a residency. So I'm off to Sardinia. Yeah, I put that out there. So just to anyone out there, you just need to put things out there into the universe. So
manifest.
Sounds
like you're a brilliant manifest.
So I saw on the Resi Artists website that there was this one coming up in Sardinia, and I thought, well, that's where I want to go. So I applied for it, and I've received that. So I'll be going off in May. So
and how long is that residency?
For a month.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and that's a great amount of time.
Yeah.
I did the last one I went to was in Banff in Canada. That one was for 5 weeks, and that one was in 2017, And it's really sustained me all the way through to now with some of the ideas and things that I was working on in that time, in that space, when you've got nothing to worry about except for
just focusing.
So I'm really excited about Sardinia and where that's going to take me next.
So sorry, I just wanted to ask. I know we got to wrap up.
No, that's all right.
You're such an exciting person, Monique. I've got so many questions to ask. When you go away on these residencies, do you feel you go away, you learn, and then you want to come and bring your learnings back to Australia and share it and expand?
Yeah, definitely. It's just a time to replenish, I think, as well. Like the one I'm off to in Sardinia, it's not a fast-paced residency. It's at your own pace, so it's not.
Wonderful.
There's all different sorts of residencies out there. So I chose this one because I do have in mind what I'd like to work on for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to have some rest and some time just to nut those things out, make little samples, and bring those back.
Fantastic. So you, of course, have some ongoing exhibitions on at Lost Eden Creative. And so what is on currently there?
So currently there's 18 artists, ceramicists from Perth Hills and down southwest. So that is being curated by Jenny Kerr. And yeah, it's a fantastic exhibition. Like I said, there's 18 artists, so everyone I think had around 5 pieces each. So it's jam-packed full of wonderful ceramics, which I absolutely love. Next, we have a printmaker exhibition. So we have 4 printmakers coming up over Christmas. And then it rolls into next year. We've got a group coming in January for a residency. They'll be in residence because the gallery has a little house at the back, so they'll be living there, as you know.
I do.
It's much nicer now. But they'll be living there. And then February we have another residency that is Arif and Audrey Satar. They're public artists. They'll be doing some stuff out in the farm as well. So, yeah, and then throughout the year we've booked out until 2014. So we've had a really great response. There's a lot of artists out there that are looking for space to show their work. So it's definitely been a good time for us.
So hold on, you just mentioned at the farm as well?
Yes.
Like you've got a farm
Well, that's
as well.
my studio.
Yeah.
Where my studio
okay.
is. So
but you don't have like animals and stuff like that you have to...
Just
no.
chickens.
Just
chickens.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a beautiful view.
Yeah, we've got a beautiful and lots of space. So we want to maybe in the future promote more environmental artists out there, do ephemeral works. So that would be fantastic. And they'll have use of my workshop. So that's one thing as well that you might not get in a regular gallery style setting residency. You can make a lot of mess and noise out on the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, please, I'm speaking up on behalf of Ashley, but yeah, please keep in touch with us, and I'm sure we'd love to shout out for anything that you're doing, especially something that helps the environment. That's always such a good cause.
Yeah, I'll probably have some open studios and things like that coming up next year.
Yeah,
we're also building some pods on the property, so
brilliant!
That we can have more artisan residencies.
Fantastic.
Come and stay. So there's all sorts of plans in the works.
The world's your oyster. You're a very busy lady. I'll stop talking because this is Ashley's interview this time.
No, that's fine. So I just want to really thank you, Monique, for coming in. And of course, we really I just know your work. I know the quality of your work, and it is really superb. And people have hopefully got a little bit of insight today of, what's behind the actual artwork. And I think that makes art so much more accessible
100%
when you give it a voice.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in and giving your artwork a voice today.
Yeah, and everybody is invited to come to Dwelling Up. Come and check out Lost Eden out there, and I'm there a lot. So, but you can always send me a message if anybody is out there that wants to send me a message. I'm on Instagram at Monique Tippett Artist, and also through Lost Eden Creative on social media. So
yes, absolutely. So both Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
And also, of course, there is the website moniquetippett.com, and also the Lost Eden website as well.
losteden.com.au.
Perfect. So if you do want to connect with Monique, please drop her a message. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. And if you're cruising her Instagram pages, drop a comment for her and say that you heard her interview and ask her any questions that you'd like to ask. And so, Monique, we wish you all the best with your residency. I look forward to hearing more about that. And definitely I want to get down to Vas Felix and see your exhibition. And I've got long enough to be able to get down there.
The 20th of January.
Absolutely. So there's plenty of time.
Come for a road trip?
Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? So thank you for coming in today.
Oh,
and we
pleasure.
are going to have a listen now to Where the Wild Roses Grow by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.